We'll begin today's webinar. Good morning, everyone. This is Paula Newcomb, and I'm the Northeast Regional Coordinator from the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office. I am at the Allen County Public Library this morning, and I'll be the host and question moderator for today's webinar, How to Create a Successful Staff Day. So welcome, everyone, and very glad that you could join us today. And I want to also thank our presenter, Michelle Merritt. She is a trainer at the Allen County Public Library for presenting today. So before we begin, I want to start off with a few housekeeping items and announcements. To register for other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please check out the Indiana State Library's events calendar, which can be found on our website at www.in.gov/library. The Indiana State Library has many ways that we try to stay connected to library staff across the state. For weekly updates on upcoming trainings and to learn more about what's happening in libraries across the state, please subscribe to our weekly e-newsletter, The Wednesday Word. Sound issues. If you have any sound issues during the webinar, please see the sound issues box just below the chat box on the left side of the screen. If there is a global sound issue, we will announce it in the chat box. If you are unable to resolve the sound issues that you're experiencing, please know that we are recording the webinar and you can watch it offline after the webinar is over. This webinar will also be available on our archived webinars page after it's been uploaded to YouTube and transcribed. So again, if there is a global sound issue, we will make an announcement in the chat box. LEUs, your LEU will be available for download at the end of the webinar. We'll have that document available for you to download, so make sure you are signed on until the end of the presentation to get your LEU. This session is 1 hour, so you'll get 1 LEU. And questions. If you have a question, just type it in the chat box on the upper left side of the screen. We'll get your question answered as soon as there's a good opportunity, and there should also be a time near the end for questions. And I know we have libraries of various sizes represented here today. Allen County is the second largest library system, as probably all of you know, in Indiana, and of course we can't do all the things that they are able to do, but hopefully you'll get some great ideas and tips to implement in your own library staff days. I will now turn the mic over to Michelle.
Good morning. Well, thank you all for making the time to attend this webinar this morning and let me talk about one of my favorite days of the year for us, which is Staff Day, and certainly get to brag about the incredible team that we have here at ACPL. So we've built this Staff Day today this webinar today really to talk about how to create a successful staff day. And as Paula mentioned, you may find that some things won't work for you because your library is smaller, but we're going to try to talk through how you can implement these various ideas based on size as well. I have certainly been a part of organizations much smaller than the one I currently am and know what it is to have to count every sheet of paper that you print. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Michelle Merritt. I am the trainer here at the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I lead the staff day team here. I also lead the customer service team here at ACPL, and I joined ACPL in May of 2016. So this was my second staff day that we just completed on September 29th. I am a member of the HR team in the HR department. I am the classic oldest child. To sort of give you a background of me personally and my personality, I'm the oldest of 8 children, and am the classic oldest child. So maybe that makes me well suited for this sort of work. But I have a very type A personality, and I am always the happy party hostess, whether that's at home or at work. So I love this sort of work, and hopefully we can get you some tips to make it easier for those of you who maybe it doesn't come as natural for. So what to expect from today? Most importantly, even before we get to what for you to expect today, I would love to know what specific things you want to know about. So if you have something very specific that you want to make sure that we cover in the next hour together, please type it in the chat box so that we can make sure we get it covered by the end of the session. I think we'll get everything covered, but there's always something that gets missed, so don't hesitate to type something in, and we'll take questions as we go. So what to expect today. what Staff Day means to us and what makes us successful at leading a good Staff Day, why we do it, why we host Staff Day to begin with, who attends Staff Day here at ACPL, where and when we host Staff Day. We're very strategic about that. And practical tips, tricks, and the pitfalls to avoid. We certainly have slipped once or twice and had some pitfalls along the way. So if we can share those with you, I certainly want to be candid about our challenges so that we can help you avoid any of those.
We did have one question already. How do you choose sessions?
Okay, that is on the list. So we'll make sure to cover how we choose sessions and speakers pretty soon. Awesome. So what is Staff Day for us? Staff Day for us is really a time for inspiration. These photos, by the way, were taken, the photos you're going to see throughout the session, were taken by a staff member who happens to do photography on the side and volunteered to take photos. So these photos are actually from our most recent Staff Day. So it's a time for us to be inspired. Dr. Dave Johnson, who is a resident of Fort Wayne but is also an international speaker, did our keynote this year. This is Greta Southard, our director, giving an update on the library. She is not one to do a formal state of the library address, but she does a talk every year that allows us to get an idea of where we're headed. We eat at Staff Day. We love to eat here at ACPL, and food is certainly a very important part of that. So we come together over a meal, and we'll talk more about food here in a few minutes. It's a time for us to honor old friends. Many of you may know or have known Eric Mulberg. We lost Eric this year in a horrible motorcycle accident. He ran our WELT radio station. And it was a great opportunity for us to honor Eric's legacy too, because he certainly loved being a part of Staff Day every year. It's a time for us to reconnect. This photo here is one of our board members connecting with one of our longtime branch assistants. So they're old friends and they only get to see each other a couple times a year. And so Staff Day is a really great time for us to bring everyone together as well. We learned from some really amazing expert speakers. This gentleman here is Eric Ellis, and we'll talk about how we chose speakers like Eric here in a little bit. But certainly there's some great opportunities to learn from some experts. We have a lot of fun, and we take some time to take care of ourselves physically as well as intellectually. So this is the dance class that happens. We always have some sort of physical component to Staff Day. And this is a group that decided to take the line dancing class. We do some things to take care of ourselves spiritually and mentally as well, whatever that means for our individual staff. So we certainly do things like yoga, meditation, things of that nature. We actually had a track this year that you could have signed up for chair yoga, followed by meditation, followed by more yoga, and gotten paid to be here all day. So that was my idea of a perfect day for sure. And then finally, we take a breath. It's a day for us to take a deep breath, catch up with one another and our own studies, and just focus on ourselves for a day. We all, as library staff, regardless of our role in the organization, spend our time focused on the external and our external customers. So this is a day for our staff to take a breath and really begin to just focus inward and learn a little bit. So, okay. So let's talk about what makes us successful. The first thing that I think makes Staff Day successful is the amazing team of people that put this team together. We have a great team. You can see the big smiles on everybody's faces here, and that's not quite everybody. We're missing about 2 people that didn't get in this photograph, but this team works really hard. They're very kind in giving me credit for organizing Staff Day, but the bottom line is we have a team of people who execute, and they're really good at executing various plans that allow us to put our internal customers first. We made the switch from the term patron to customer a couple years ago. And we identify customers both as external customers, meaning what you would think of as a traditional patron, along with internal customers, and meaning our staff and our coworkers and our colleagues. So this is a team that really understands servant leadership. And I really, really believe if you're going to set up a successful staff day, you want to make sure that the team of people working on it are people who really understand servant leadership as this team does, and really, really care about the organization and seeing it being successful. So make sure when you're choosing your committee for staff day that you are choosing people that have that ability to really serve and that desire in that servant's heart, for sure. Okay, so why do we do staff day? We do staff day because we believe that in helping our staff build their knowledge, whether that is their knowledge of self, whether that's knowledge of their specific work area or their area of expertise, we strengthen the staff. And when we strengthen the staff, we know that we strengthen the community. By the way, you can have tattoos made. Our marketing team put these together, and they're very inexpensive to do. And if you need more information about how to create tattoos for your team, by all means, message me and we'll make sure to get you the information. But we had a tattoo shop as part of our staff day this year, and it was a huge, huge success. Those are temporary tattoos. We did not, by the way, do any permanent tattoos for staff day, but which a couple of people were surprisingly disappointed about. But it was a good day, and that was a very popular booth throughout the day. So let's talk about for a second, and I realize I didn't put a slide in there that shows the schedule, but let's talk for a second about how we actually arrange the day. Our day starts at 7 a.m. and with an optional breakfast from 7 to 8. And then we go from 8 to 5 that day in a full work day. So from 8 o'clock to approximately 10 o'clock, we are in a morning session as a group with a keynote speaker. We take a short break. Then we come back until 11 o'clock for, again, all as a group. And we'll talk about the building and the logistics of this in a few minutes. But we then go till 11 o'clock. We break for department meetings so that each department or branch has an opportunity to meet with their staff. We break for lunch from noon to 1, and then we have 3 breakout sessions in the afternoon between 1 o'clock and 4:30. Then we all gather at the end of the day for a little bit of fun and giveaways and things like that at 4:30. So, okay. So, one of the big questions I'm always asked about an event of this magnitude, for us it's 400 staff, is what does staff day cost and how do you pay for it? So the truth is staff day can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. It can be as inexpensive as you need it to be, or it can be as expensive and elaborate as you want it to be. We have a foundation and a Friends of the Library group that share the cost of staff day. They each donate equal amounts to staff day, and then we utilize that as our budget for the day. We are very thrifty in how we use those dollars because we want to be good stewards of our taxpayers' money, obviously. And we want to make sure that we are getting the biggest bang for our buck. So as I pointed out this photo in the slide deck a few minutes ago, this gentleman here, Jim Williams, is a member of our board, and Judy is one of our librarians or library branch assistants at Monroeville. So he and the board are very generous in encouraging staff day, and then he also serves on one of our boards that actually helps fund it. Now we determine cost based on a per staff basis. So I'm always asking, what does it cost for us to build an event per staff member? So I always know the total number of staff that are going to attend, and then I'm dividing out the total cost. I try to keep the total cost below $20 a person. Depending on the keynote speaker you have, there have been years, last year for us, 2016, we certainly had a much more expensive keynote speaker, and we'll talk about how to utilize that in a minute. So our staff day costs were almost double that. It really just depends on a variety of things, and we'll talk about what goes into the budget. So let's talk about that. Location is key. We're fortunate here to have a very large building, but keep in mind we have a very large staff. So we utilize our library. We close all of the buildings in our system for the day, and everyone comes to the main library. We utilize every nook and cranny of this building because there are only 2 spaces in the entire building where you can actually fit all 400 of us. And if we were to hire very many more staff, we would not be able to fit in one of those rooms. So we know the number of staff, we know the cost of the keynote speakers, we know printing and promotional expenses and what those will be. Those go into our budget. Our food expense goes into our budget, as well as any technology expenses. So let's talk through those. Where and when to hold staff day. This is our library's what we call the Great Hall. Some people affectionately call it the airport terminal because it sort of looks like one. But this is one of 2 places where we can actually fit all 400 staff. So you can see we bring in tables and chairs. We rent the tables and chairs from a local party rental place and have them set up the night before. And then this room looks like this at 7 a.m. when staff begin to arrive. By the way, we'll talk about some tips and tricks here in a little bit. But when I say staff arrive at 7, I arrive at 4:45. And the committee arrives somewhere between 5 and 6:30, depending on their role on the team in the morning. So we hold it here at our building. And again, determining for you all who might have smaller buildings, might have smaller staffs, think about how you can get creative with the space in your building. Again, we're using corners in different departments or different reading nooks, things like that, small meeting rooms, all kinds of spaces in the building, and getting pretty creative with them. As far as when we hold staff day, it is either the last Friday in September or the first Friday in October for us. That is after our summer learning program and after children's staff specifically have had time to get a little time off before going into staff day. Staff day is a required day for all of our team. We do require that all staff attend. So we try to give everybody a little time between summer learning program and staff day to fit in a vacation, because we know how hard so many of our public service staff work in the summer during summer learning program. So who attends staff day? Everybody is the short answer to that question. So again, we have almost 400 staff. This is a picture of some of them starting to gather in one of our large meeting rooms. This meeting room divides out into 3 smaller rooms. There's some other photos. I love these photos. This kind of gives you an idea of the size and scope of our staff. Not only do staff members attend, we invite our board of trustees, we invite the Library Foundation board, and we invite the Friends of the Library board. So all of those people in the community can attend. We also invite any of our speakers to attend for the full day, if they choose to do that. Some do, typically 2 or 3 a year. We'll opt to attend, but not all of them do. Okay. So, and again, this is everyone from public service staff to staff who are operations staff. Senior staff are all required to attend, as well as our entry-level people. Building and grounds crew and librarians in charge. Everyone is required to attend. Okay. Oop, wrong button. There we go. Okay. So let's talk about speakers. We utilize speakers, and how we choose our sessions. This goes to one of the questions that I know has been asked. We select our sessions based on we're constantly surveying the staff here. Not only are we surveying the staff for staff day, we're surveying the staff every time we do a training, every time we get together. And one of the questions in every single survey that we ask staff is, what else would you like training on? In every survey that we send to staff, that question is there. And so we utilize the suggestions and requests of our staff. We use JotForm for all of those surveys, by the way, which is an easy form for us to send out and certainly use quickly. So through those, as well as discussions with senior staff, with other managers, we talk about the needs of the staff. We know typically what sessions have gone over really well in the past, as well as sessions that maybe people didn't choose to attend as much. And so we are able to select speakers based on those things. We utilize internal staff. This is Stacy. She is our art, music, and media manager. She led a session this year on the various digital, it was called Digital ACPL 24/7, the digital library. And so it was a session, it was an overview session on all of the digital products we offer. This was incredibly well attended. We required this year that staff pre-register, also using a JotForm link. We required all staff to register in advance, and we set the limit on specific sessions so that we knew which rooms could accommodate which groups. This was a session we actually had to move it because it was the first session that filled up, and it filled up in about 2 hours. And so we actually had to move it to a bigger room, and we're lucky enough to have the space to be able to do that. So I hit the wrong button again. This is Megan Elizabeth Sutton. She did a customer service session for us this year on it was called Safe Space 101. It was the LGBTQ plus session that allowed us to learn more about terminology and proper language and proper use of certain terminology in working with the LGBTQ plus community. In doing so, a lot of our frontline customer service staff really worked to massage their schedules to be able to attend her session. It was incredibly popular. But also, I was shocked to see the number of staff from behind the scenes who just wanted a better understanding. So it wasn't just public service staff or branch employees that attended, but rather also administrative staff who wanted to be able to educate themselves. So this was an incredibly popular session as well. This is Dr. Dave Johnson. He is a member of the community. He was our keynote speaker. He's done some work with ACPL in the past and was really, really loved. He had worked more with managers and senior staff, so the rest of the staff had not had an opportunity to get to know him. Because he's an advocate for this community and an advocate for ACPL, he certainly, he practically donated his services. We did pay him, but it was not a lot. So, and then we also utilize speakers that from various vendors. In this case, this is someone from the Census Bureau that came in to do a training on census.gov. We just massaged her visit into the schedule so that we were able to, again, utilize some technology type courses and get people LEUs and TLEUs for the day. We apply for LEUs for each session that we have throughout the day. I leave it up to ISL to say no, and if they do, that's okay. But we certainly want to get as many LEUs as possible for our team. And then for those LEU sessions, we record the speakers and share those internally so our staff can watch them later and gain the LEUs during that time. We do provide some honorariums for some of our speakers, and it really depends on the speaker what the amount is, and your library has its own policy on that. But some speakers volunteer their time because it is the library and we're very fortunate to have a community that loves us. But it's also a matter of who we can afford some days. Some folks don't feel they can donate their time, and when that's the case, if their request for payment is too high, we may not be able to have them here. It really depends on the budget. We utilize our relationships. Many of the people that you see at our staff days are personal friends of mine who speak on various topics in the community, or maybe friends of members of the committee. And we build on those relationships. It makes it a fun day for the speaker as well. You know, a lot of them are connecting with old friends because they know our library system so well. And so we utilize our relationships in the community. We utilize vendors, that sort of thing too, so that we can continually be building relationships in the community with the people who would come and be speakers for us. The other thing I will say is that we build up our speakers. We really try to be gracious hosts. This is Dottie Davis. Dottie Davis is the former Deputy Chief of Police here in Fort Wayne. She now heads up the Fort Wayne Community Schools security officers. And we asked her to come and teach. Dottie trains for us frequently on everything from active shooters to de-escalation to, in this case, she was talking about self-care for public service workers. We really make it so that our speakers are well cared for. We ask them to send their we actually require that they send their PowerPoints in advance, that they send any information they want printed out a minimum of a week in advance, so that we can have their handouts printed and ready for them to hand out. We have a laptop with a flash drive of their presentation ready to go for them when they arrive. In each room throughout the building, a committee member is assigned to that room. So, for example, Dottie was in meeting room A. She's very popular, and meeting room A is a large room for us. So in meeting room A, there was a committee member assigned to meeting room A for the day. They were responsible for Dottie's presentation, as well as the two other speakers that were in there for sessions 2 and 3 later in the day. So that she knew in advance, because we were in constant communication with our speakers, exactly who was going to be helping her, how to get into the building. That's always a question that people have. Make sure your speakers know the minor details, where to park, how to get in the building, because your building's likely locked for the day. So you don't want someone knocking on the door and having anxiety before they go to speak. Run through their presentation the night before. They don't necessarily need to be there, but make sure their presentation is up and running in that room. Go through all the details with them. We follow up the following day. Actually, we try to do it before the end of the day that day. We have a survey for speakers. We love our surveys here. We have a survey for speakers ready to go that asks speakers what worked, what didn't. Last year, we had people struggling to get into the building. So this year, we were crystal clear about how to get into our building, even though it was locked, exactly where to park, who would meet them, that sort of detail. And we get down to the very fine details. But the bottom line is, when your speakers feel like they're well cared for, they're more willing to go above and beyond to help you host a great staff day. So printing and promotional materials. We are very fortunate here at ACPL that we have the ability to print things in-house. But I'll tell you, even with that, we are very minimal in what we print. We do print a program for staff, because everybody, whenever you go to an internal or a conference, and this is really what staff day is an internal conference, you want that printed program so you know where you're headed. So we do print a program for everyone. You see a copy of it here. And we print door signs, of course, and directional signs. But other than that, we try to do as much as humanly possible electronically. So via email, via intranet, whatever your communication tools are that are electronic, take advantage of those whenever you can. I will tell you, we have tried in the past to send out the handouts for various speakers only electronically. That did not work for us. we had staff asking us during staff day, can you print this for me? Can you print this for me? It didn't work. It became very complicated. And so this is why, since we have registration in advance, we know how many copies of a specific handout to print out, and we now print those in advance. But everything else we try to send electronically. We even send a copy of the program to staff electronically the weeks prior to, so they can begin getting a feel for what sessions they want to attend, just like you would any other conference. Okay. What do library staff eat? Well, we eat lots of good stuff, and we love to eat on staff day. So one of the things we do is provide breakfast instead of lunch. Now, we have requests from staff, this comes up on every survey after staff day, to provide lunch instead of breakfast. From a standpoint of organizing staff day, breakfast is far more affordable to provide than lunch could be. So we actually provide breakfast for the staff. Breakfast for us is not paid. It is an optional time from 7 to 8 for you to come for the day. We have had some complaints, I'm going to be really candid with you, about the fact that we don't pay staff to come for breakfast. Years past we have. This year it was a very full schedule, and we had a lot of great speakers and a lot of great information as we begin strategic planning that we wanted to be able to get out to everyone, which meant we were going to use every minute of the day. So we made breakfast optional, and we asked that everyone sign up ahead of time.
Are they on their own for lunch, or do they bring their own lunch?
They can do either one for lunch. So the question was, are they on their own for lunch? We do lunch from noon to 1. We are in downtown Fort Wayne, so there are a lot of great, fun restaurants. Everything from trendy food trucks to Taco Bell, if that's really what you would want. And some great independent restaurants too. So we allow staff to go off-site. Some departments, as I mentioned, we do a department meeting from 11 to 12 and then lunch from 12 to 1. Some branches or departments decide to all go to lunch together, and we'll go off-site from 11 to 1 and utilize that entire time for meetings. I know our building and properties staff does that. He takes all of his folks out to Pizza Hut, and they do a Pizza Hut buffet for their meeting and for lunch. So we leave that up to the managers, but everyone is on their own from noon to 1, whatever that may mean. For them, there is a cafeteria in our building, so we certainly can or not a cafeteria, rather a staff break room, so people can choose to eat in the building if they want to. Does that answer that?
Oh, yeah. And other people are just telling what they do.
So. Okay, awesome. So one of the things we did this year that was a little different, we have used the same caterer for years until this past year, and it was getting a little bit stale. It was your standard bacon and eggs sort of breakfast. And honestly, they showed up almost late last year, and I just wasn't comfortable with bringing them back. So we made the decision this year to do something a little unique. Mocha Lounge is a beloved local coffee shop here in Fort Wayne, and we really try to utilize local people whenever we can. It doesn't work out all the time, but we really try. And so we utilized Mocha Lounge, and they came and did gourmet coffee for us, chai tea, lattes, hot chocolate, that sort of stuff. Keep in mind, we do this in the fall. So this year, fall's been a lot warmer than normal, but it's a great sort of cozy treat. They bring some pastries, that sort of thing. And then they introduced us to 800 Degree Pizza, which is a local brick oven pizza joint that has a great reputation. And they also do catering. And so we actually had brick oven pizzas, breakfast pizzas, done on a truck out our front door. So it was great fun for staff. It was something very different. It went over very well. People really seemed to enjoy it. And it was a lot of fun. And then we pick up snacks. I personally make a run to Costco, and we pick up, this is our snack tray that you're seeing in the photograph here. Obviously, we have chocolate. You can't have a conference without chocolate. But we certainly do provide healthy snacks as well, high protein snacks, bananas, fruit, all that sort of stuff. So Find a caterer who's willing to work with you if supplying breakfast is an option for you. You could certainly go to something as simple as coffee and, a continental breakfast with coffee and danishes, coffee and bagels, that sort of stuff too. We tried to cover a variety of food allergies. As you can imagine, with 400 staff, that's impossible for us to completely do. But the breakfast tended to cover most of those issues. We do provide bottled water in the afternoon. We do not provide soda in the afternoon, and we did not continue the coffee into the afternoon. Candidly, we have surveys that have asked us to continue that. I don't think we'll provide soda. We might continue to provide coffee in the afternoon next year. Okay, so let's talk about some tips in managing this project. So this is a picture of our dance class, and I always think of project management as sort of as a dance, right? It's a fun dance, and a couple things to keep in mind as far as managing staff day. We manage staff day. We start planning for the next staff day 13 months out. So we're actually planning for staff day before we began planning staff day for 2018 in August this year. It's not something you plan overnight. It's a long process, and treat it like any other major project you would take on, because your staff's development is one of the most important things you'll ever do as an organization, and you want to treat it as a serious project. Build a great team. I've talked about that. Survey your staff. Again, we use JotForm for that. Ask your staff questions. Take their input. Be willing to take all of the input they share. It doesn't mean you have to do everything that they tell you to or that they say they want. Every year we have someone who says, we have a handful of people who say, we need a 2-hour lunch. Well, that we're not going to do a 2-hour lunch, obviously, but we will provide an hour for lunch, and we do take lots of input on what we provide for the food, things like this. As I mentioned, we'll probably have coffee next year because that was something people pointed out, that there wasn't any caffeine available in the afternoon unless you wanted to pay at the vending machine. So be willing to take feedback. Survey your staff ahead of time, survey your staff after, survey your speakers after, survey your speakers before, to find out what their needs will be. And I'm happy to send you a copy of our surveys. We'll make sure that you get a link to what our surveys are, or a screenshot of those surveys so you have those. And we build on that every single year. So you want to make sure that you're taking time to enjoy it as well. It is a long day, and make sure that your committee is committed to building on that day. Keep your schedule ahead of time. Write your scripts ahead of time. There's nothing wrong with writing out how the day is going to go, how introductions are going to go for each speaker, all of that sort of thing. So you want to make sure that you're documenting every detail. For us, we use OneNote from Microsoft. You could use Google Docs, Dropbox, whatever project management document sharing tool you want. Make sure that your committee has access to all of the documents and that they feel empowered to get involved as well. So another thing I will suggest is utilizing the strengths of your team. So not only from a standpoint of speakers, like Stacy speaking about the digital products, but also Aaron Smith, who is a wonderful pianist. He is willing to come and play the piano in the morning for us. And so it's a beautiful thing to hear the piano in our great hall over breakfast. And it's just a treat. It just feels special. It didn't cost us anything, but we happen to have a piano here. So that's an important piece. The gentleman who took these pictures, he has some pretty high anxiety in large groups of people, and that's common for many of us among our staff. So he went to his manager and said, I'm concerned about my first staff day, but I happen to also be a photographer, and I can manage big groups when There's a camera between me and them. Can I take photos of staff day? That way I can still participate. Absolutely. And so we have beautiful photos that we can use for other pieces. And we utilize the strengths of our staff that way, and certainly help our staff members with the challenges that they may face in sessions like that. So again, survey results. I love these three women because these are some of our children's librarians here at Maine. They're not actually telling me in that photo what they think, but they're always willing to do that. And some people will come to you, as these three women will, and tell me what their feedback is, but a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that face-to-face. So utilizing a survey tool to get feedback from your staff is really important. And again, be willing to take the constructive feedback. Look for the feedback that tells you what needs to change. We all want to hear how great we are, but the bottom line is there's always something that can improve. And so I seek out the things that tell us what need improved first. So that's certainly some advice there in regards to survey results. And finally, I'll leave you with this quick story, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So I got a call a couple days ago, or a couple days prior to staff day. It was literally the week of, so it was probably Tuesday, from an employee, a staff member, who wanted to know, would there be pineapple at breakfast, because there was mixed fruit on the menu. We had sent out the program, and the program had the menu in it, and there was going to be pineapple was there going to be pineapple in the mixed fruit? And I said, I don't really know. She said, well, I can't have pineapple. Can you have pineapple removed, and can I have a half of a banana at breakfast? And I had to explain that, unfortunately, in providing breakfast for literally hundreds of people, I could not guarantee that I had a half of a banana for one person. And I couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be pineapple in it, but there's certainly in the mixed fruit, but there certainly would be other options. She responded pretty quickly and apologized for asking such a funny question. And then added, that she really didn't mean it to be high maintenance. She was concerned about her food allergy. And that's certainly understandable. Because we had such an awesome caterer, we were able to work with them. I happened to just share this story with them and ask if there was going to be pineapple in it. And he said, well, yeah, I normally do. And so I didn't think anything more of it. And that next morning, when he arrived, he had cut a separate tray of fruit prior to cutting any of the pineapple in a separate station. So none of it was intermingled or anything like that. And she was thrilled that she actually could eat off of this one specific tray. And of course, we made a point to seek her out and point that out to her so she knew exactly what she could have without activating any sort of food allergy. And the reason I share this story with you is because anything that you do, it's important that we remember that we can build a fantastic event no matter what the event is. But what really matters to an individual person is their pineapple, whatever their pineapple is, right? I mean, what matters to them is what is right in front of them. So we can build a beautiful event, but what we have to get to is how we build a great experience for the individual. And that's really our goal for Staff Day, is to begin some training and some development that can be personalized for an individual staff member. Awesome.
We're having a lot of great chat here.
Oh, good.
I'll have to send it to you later.
Okay, awesome. So what kind of questions can I answer for you? Let's kind of get back through.
Hopefully the webinar will be available probably later today. It's just that I have to have the time to get it sent to you guys. So hopefully later this afternoon I'll be home and be able to do that. I won't have it transcribed though and put on our archive webinars page for a while because I've got about 3 or 4 other ones ahead of this one. I've been busy with webinars. We're just getting lots of other ideas what people see. Oh, here we go. Do you have a list of speakers and contact information for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm more than willing to send out our speaker list. We have an electronic copy of our Staff Day program that we'll get for you all so you can see who our speakers are and a description of the courses. And then you're welcome to reach out to me if you would like for their specific contact information of any speaker that you're interested in.
Great. And do you ever use a theme?
We do. This year it was called Be the Solution. We are in the middle of strategic planning. So we're constantly right now looking at what are the concerns for the community and how we solve problems for the community. So this year it was Be the Solution.
Any great suggestions for icebreakers?
Oh, you know, we don't utilize icebreakers during staff day per se, but my favorite icebreaker as a trainer is to take a beach ball and write with permanent marker various odd questions. So what's your favorite movie? What was your first pet's name? You know, those pesky like security questions that you have to answer on websites. Things like where'd you go to college? Or where'd you go to school? Or who's your favorite team? You know, these sort of things. And you stand in a circle and you toss the ball back and forth. And whatever question your right thumb lands on when you catch the ball, that's the question you have to answer. What do you collect? What, you know, various things like that. And it's a fun way to learn some new things about your coworkers.
How many breakout sessions do you plan for the afternoon?
Okay, so we do 3 sessions. On average, we have somewhere between 8 and 10 sessions to choose from. You know, and at the last minute, you'll have someone cancel. We had a speaker cancel at the last minute, literally Thursday night for Friday morning this year because he was horribly ill and no one else on his team really had the knowledge to lead that training. So, you know, those sort of things happen. And so then it sort of shifts the day around. But you learn to be flexible. That's the other piece of advice I would always give about creating a successful staff day is be flexible and go with the flow. Something's going to happen. And, you know, it's not the end of the world.
We've got some other person. We have Jean typing, just waiting to see what's
Okay.
coming through. But she's been given lots of great ideas. So
Awesome.
I don't know if we've got any other questions. Please keep them coming. Sometimes what I see takes a little while to come up on the screen.
Gotcha.
But as I said, I'm going to copy all the chat and send it to you guys so we have all these great ideas. Oh, do you use evaluation forms after?
Right. So we do a survey after. We do not do paper surveys. Again, I try to keep our print costs down as low as possible. So we use jotform.com for that. And I'll be happy to get you a copy of what our surveys look like and the answers, how we build those.
How possible would it be to maybe send to them your last year's, like the
program?
Your program.
Absolutely. We have a digital copy, so we'll be happy to get you the PDF of that. We send it out to staff a week or two ahead of time. And I will say you want to be sharing as much information about the upcoming event as possible with staff. Make sure too that you're communicating where staff should park, how to enter the building when it's locked, not just for speakers, but for staff. If you have multiple buildings, people going to a building they don't regularly go to makes them very nervous. We have a staff member here who will arrive somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes early to every event if it is not in her building. And it is because she has to know where she's going. She has some anxiety that builds up if she doesn't get comfortable with her surroundings. So be prepared for that and try to accommodate that as much as possible.
A lot more great ideas combined with United Way.
We utilized the United Way this past year as a speaker. I'll tell you, it was not heavily attended. I think because we do a United Way campaign and presentation later in the year, people didn't attend that session as much. Things that were heavily attended, again, were TLEU courses. We do a building and grounds tour where our property manager, Jean, gives you a behind-the-scenes tour. Even took people on the roof this year. It happened to be a nice day that day to talk about everything from air conditioners, to all the places that you don't normally go as a regular staff member.
It's fun to watch the chat because Cheryl Wright from Indy is saying the same thing.
Oh, she awesome. Awesome.
Indianapolis is the biggest library system, public library system in Indiana.
Right.
Other people, she also said they arrived in costumes.
Oh, that's fun.
And also awards, staff
awards.
You know, that was an idea.
It was. Now, we did not do staff recognition this year. You'll find when you see a copy of our program that it was listed in the program. We surveyed our staff to ask them how they wanted to be recognized if they had a milestone anniversary this year. We surveyed those with milestone anniversaries, 5, 10, 15-year anniversaries. For us, we even had a 60-year employee that is actually celebrating 60 years this month. We asked them how they wanted to be recognized because we understand that so many of our staff are introverted. Do they really want their name called up and have to stand up in front of 400 of their peers? The answer turned out to be no. The survey results said basically, list me in the program, don't call my name out loud, don't make me stand up. Okay, so that's what we did. Now I'll tell you, we got some pushback on the survey afterwards that we didn't recognize the staff. We put in the program, and you'll see it in the program, that we were not calling staff by name outside of the program at their request. Some people still thought that was wrong that we didn't do it. We want to make sure we honor the requests of our staff and make sure we're making everybody feel as comfortable as possible in that case. So in years past, we have acknowledged everyone from the podium, but again, this year we did not. Okay.
Okay.
What other questions? Anything?
We're just still some more people typing. So we've got about 10 more minutes. If you do have more questions, go ahead and type them in. I'll also put in a survey link and also some information about how to download your LEU. I might go ahead and put that form up real quick.
Okay. And I see the comment here that says, I love that you allowed introverts to sit it out. You know, we require everybody to attend, but we love the people who get creative and say to us, here's how I think I can participate. And because you do have to participate. But we do love it when people come to us and say, what about this? Well, you know, can I participate this way instead of that way? We try to be as open as possible and really give everybody. That's part of the reason breakfast is not required. Because for some people, sitting in a huge eating in front of your peers or sitting in a room full of 400 people is not something they can do every day. So we want to make sure that we acknowledge that, but also make sure that everyone's still getting the training that they need.
Sorry, I'm typing.
Okay. So we're typing the link here for you for the LEU.
Yeah.
There you go. What else do we have here?
I think I kind of monopolized the chat there for a sec.
Okay.
But yeah, keep on typing. I know probably people are doing this now, no doubt.
Right.
But we'll keep that up a little bit longer as well. So Don't worry about that.
That is something too, by the way, with LEUs. Again, as I mentioned, we record the LEU sessions, so staff who could not get to a specific LEU session could watch it later. That also frees up some of our staff to do things like attend yoga instead of a customer service class on diversity or something like that. They can watch that later and get a chance to relax for the day.
Cheryl from Indy wants to know, how do you record them?
We actually have volunteers that come in and record them with camcorders, and we have everybody mic'd. Again, we're very fortunate to be able to do that. I would suggest that you can record it from your iPhone or from your smartphone. The goal is that they be able to hear it. If you're having your presenter send their PowerPoint in advance, you have a copy of that to share with staff as well, that you can then send out the recording as well as the PowerPoint. The thing I make sure to do is not house that recording anywhere other than internally. So when I arrived, we had a private YouTube channel that we used to put those things out on. I've been a keynote speaker that's paid for my presentations before, and I don't want that information as a speaker out where other people can get it. So we house that information internally. We'll share
the recording on the intranet or something like that, but we don't house that outside of ACPL anymore.
Okay, we've got one more person maybe typing. This has just been an incredible amount of information today.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll get you that sent, Carolyn, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. Any other questions? Well, I will say we will probably end the webinar recording, but we'll stay connected here if you guys have further questions, and we'll keep it up probably till about a little after 11, maybe 11:05 or so. But thank you so much, Michelle, for doing
Absolutely.
this, and also for all of you for attending today's webinar and being so, putting all your comments on here. This has been amazing.